The number of protons and electrons must be the same. A hydrogen atom has 1 proton and 1 electron. The number of protons equals the number of electrons, and this is true for all atoms. What's the next atom on the periodic table? Helium. To make a helium atom requires 2 protons. And how many electrons? 2. We've just learnt that. 2 pluses and 2 minuses. Overall, neutral. But we have a problem, Houston. The 2 protons in the nucleus both carry the same charge. Why is this a problem? They will repel each other, so the nucleus will fly apart. This is where neutrons come in handy. Neutrons provide some extra glue to hold the nucleus together. There's an extra attractive force that belongs in the nucleus, called the strong nuclear force, that works only between nuclear particles. Without this force, the nucleus would disintegrate. Phew, again. By the way, they won't tell you about the strong nuclear force until you get to university. So this is a kind of trailer for you. A hydrogen atom doesn't need a neutron. Why? It has only 1 proton in its nucleus, so it won't feel any repulsive forces by nearby protons. Hydrogen is the only atom that can do this. All other atoms must have neutrons in their nucleus to keep it together. But from now on, we're going to ignore the neutrons in building our atoms to make it easier to follow. Let's remember, though, that neutrons are found in all atoms that have more than 1 proton. How do we make the 3rd atom, lithium? How about with 3 protons and 3 electrons? That's correct. But we've got another problem, Houston. Electrons live in shells that are wrapped around the nucleus, and the first shell can take only 2 electrons before it becomes full. So lithium has too many electrons to squeeze them all into the first shell. Luckily, there are plenty of shells available, so after 2 electrons fill the first shell, the extra electron can go into the next shell. This second shell is bigger than the first shell and can take up to 8 electrons. This is like a strange hotel that has only 2 beds on its first floor, so after 2 guests are booked in, extra guests have to be sent to the higher floor. The hotel's second floor has 8 beds, and so after the next 8 guests book in, this floor is also full. A lithium atom has 3 protons in its nucleus, 2 electrons in its first shell, and 1 electron in its second shell. The number of electrons in each shell is incredibly important because it affects the properties of the element and how it will behave in the world. For example, lithium is a metal because it has a single electron in its outer shell. We will explain how this happens later. The number of electrons in each shell of an atom is called its electron configuration. You should ask your parents if they know what electron configuration means. They're really cool words to learn. The electron configuration of lithium is 2 electrons in the first shell and 1 electron in the second shell. Or sometimes scientists just write 2,1 short. Did you see helium with 4 protons and 4 electrons? With all 4 protons living in its nucleus, 2 electrons in its first shell, and 2 in its second shell. If so, you can move to grade 11 in high school. Beryllium's electron configuration is